The awakening of the Shadow Gate. The night sky above Earth looked normal to most people. Stars twinkled, the moon hung silent, and satellites moved like tiny sparks. But in the control room of an observatory in Chile, a young astronomer named Sophia stared at the screens with wide eyes. Something strange was happening on the far side of the moon. Her monitor showed waves of energy rising like invisible ripples. The instruments shook, lines of code flashing red. Sophia whispered, "This is not natural." She turned to her colleagues, but they were already pale with fear. No one could explain it. At the same time, across the ocean, an old man named Captain Marcus sat alone in his small house by the coast. He was retired now, living quietly with the memories of a life he could not share. Once, decades ago, he had flown experimental ships for Earth's secret defense program. Those days were long gone, or so he thought. But tonight, as the waves outside crashed louder, Marcus felt the ground tremble beneath his feet. He pressed his palm to the floor and the vibration pulsed like a heartbeat. His mind returned to the words his old commander once told him, "When the Shadow Gate awakens, the fleet will rise." Far above, the moon's dark side lit up for the first time in human history. Telescopes captured a black rift spreading like a wound in space. It was massive, swallowing light around it, twisting stars into shadows. Scientists tried to calm the public, calling it an anomaly, but videos leaked online. People around the world watched in terror as the sky itself seemed to break open. Inside the rift, shadows moved. Not ships, not light, something else. The shapes pulsed almost alive, but never fully stepping through. They waited, watching. In Washington, London, Beijing, secret meetings took place. World leaders shouted at each other across screens. "We must tell the people," one demanded. Another slammed the table. "If we speak, panic will destroy us before the enemy does." But fear was already spreading. Strange power surges hit cities. Satellites lost contact for seconds at a time, then returned, carrying whispers in unknown languages. Some claimed to hear voices through their radios, low and cold, repeating warnings no one could translate. Meanwhile, deep under the deserts of Nevada, machines older than any modern design came alive. Giant hangar doors hidden beneath the sand rumbled, dust rising into the night air. Workers thought it was an earthquake, until a glowing crack formed across the ground, showing metal beneath. A forgotten base had begun to stir. Sophia stayed in the observatory, refusing to leave her post. She adjusted the radio frequency, catching fragments of sound. Her heart raced as a clear voice broke through, mechanical and slow. "The gate has awakened. Prepare the fleet." Her colleagues gasped. None of them understood. What fleet? Earth had no such thing, at least not in history books. But Marcus knew. He had always known. He walked to a locked chest at the back of his house. Inside was a black uniform, faded but intact, marked with a symbol no one used anymore. A silver crest, a rising sun split by a shadow. He closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "It was never a myth." That night, across the planet, people saw the same vision. The sky flickered, stars bending as if the universe itself was trying to speak. Some fainted, some prayed, some screamed, but all felt the same heavy truth in their bones. Something ancient had returned. In Antarctica, far beneath the ice, a ship older than any human nation hummed with power. Its engines lit faintly, melting the frozen walls around it. The ice cracked, echoing like thunder across empty valleys. Scientists stationed nearby reported the sound, confused and afraid, not knowing they stood above one of Earth's greatest secrets. The Shadow Gate grew larger each hour, its edges stretching, its darkness deeper than night. And with every pulse of energy, more hidden places on Earth awakened. In the jungles of South America, children playing near the river stopped when the ground shook, revealing a metallic wall beneath the soil. In the Pacific, fishermen watched as glowing lines appeared under the water, stretching like the outline of a giant ship sleeping below. Whispers spread across the world. The legends were true. The hidden fleet is real. But no one knew if this was salvation or the beginning of the end. Sophia typed furiously into her system, sending data to anyone who would listen. Marcus stood on his porch, staring at the trembling horizon, the black rift glowing above. Across deserts, oceans, and ice, humanity's forgotten fleet began to stir, and high above, in the heart of the Shadow Gate, the waiting shapes finally moved. Not closer, not farther, just watching. Patient. Hungry. The world did not know yet, but the first chapter of a hidden war had already begun. Earth's secret legacy. The world had seen impossible things in one night. The Shadow Gate grew wider. The sky bent with unnatural light, and across the planet hidden machines awoke. But the truth was even stranger. Earth had been hiding something for centuries, something even its own people had forgotten. Captain Marcus knew it. The vibrations under his home were not random. They were signals, old codes from a time before he was born. He left his small house by the coast and drove toward the desert, guided only by instinct and memories. The roads were empty. People were too afraid to leave their homes, glued to televisions that replayed the same footage of the Black Rift again and again. As Marcus traveled deeper into the desert, he saw lights moving beneath the sand, glowing, lines stretching for miles. He stopped his car and stepped into the cool night air. The ground hummed, the desert alive. With a heavy breath, he whispered, "They're waking." Far away, Sophia refused to rest. The observatory was now under military control, soldiers blocking the entrance, but she stayed inside. She replayed the strange message again and again. "Prepare the fleet." It echoed in her head. She sent secret files to universities, to scientists she trusted, trying to spread the truth. Most didn't believe her. Some called it a hoax. But others whispered the same words back: fleet. In a secret underground bunker in Nevada, government officials stood before giant steel doors that had not opened in hundreds of years. Engineers shouted as machines rumbled on their own, ancient generators roaring back to life. Sparks lit the massive chamber. Then, with a thunderous boom, the doors opened. A cavern stretched for miles below, filled with towering shapes, ships, sleek and silent, dust falling from their hulls. They were not like any human design of today. Their metal glowed faintly, marked with symbols no one could read. Yet every part of them seemed familiar, as if they belonged here, waiting. One young officer stepped forward, trembling. This is impossible. How could these ships be here? Who built them?" An old general answered, voice heavy with guilt. "They were built by us, by humanity, long ago." Shock spread across the room. The general explained what only a few had ever known. Centuries earlier, Earth had faced a threat from the stars. A small alien scout force had arrived, testing the planet's defenses. Humanity had fought back, not with armies, but with secrets. The brightest minds of that age built weapons in silence, hidden beneath oceans and deserts. They called it the Hidden Fleet. But the aliens never returned. The gate closed and the world forgot. Leaders buried the truth, erasing records, hiding every trace. Generations passed. Only fragments remained, disguised as myths and legends. Now the gate had opened again. In Antarctica, the buried ship finally broke through the ice. The ground split, and a massive black shape rose, glowing engines melting snow for miles. Scientists at the nearby station screamed as the colossal hull rose higher, like a sleeping giant shaking off centuries of frost. In the Pacific Ocean, fishermen's boats were tossed aside as the sea boiled. Beneath the waves, something vast stirred. The water glowed blue, outlining the form of a warship larger than a city, rising slowly toward the surface. The world watched in disbelief as videos flooded the internet. Clips of ice breaking, oceans glowing, deserts splitting. People asked the same question: why did no one tell us? Marcus reached the desert base at last. Guards pointed weapons at him, but when he showed them the old crest on his uniform, they froze. The silver emblem of the rising sun cut by shadow, the mark of the hidden fleet. Few alive even recognized it, but those who did stepped aside. Inside the base, Marcus walked slowly into the hangar. His heart pounded as he saw the ships, again just as he remembered from his youth. Sleek, sharp, built for war against enemies no one had seen in generations. His voice cracked with emotion. "You've slept long enough." Back at the observatory, Sophia's screens flickered again. The alien signals were changing. They were not greetings, not warnings of invasion. She decoded fragments. "Close the gate. They will come. You are not ready." Her blood ran cold. The aliens on the other side were not preparing to attack. They were afraid. Something else was coming through the gate. Something worse than them. But Earth was not defenseless anymore. In cities around the world, ordinary people looked up as thunder filled the skies. One by one, the hidden ships emerged. Giant silhouettes. Against the horizon, their engines glowing brighter than the stars. Children cheered. Adults fell to their knees in awe and fear. For the first time in history, humanity realized its ancestors had left them a gift, a secret legacy, a fleet powerful enough to stand against the unknown. Yet deep in their hearts, they also felt the weight of truth. The fleet was not just defense, it was built for war, and war was coming. The shadow gate pulsed again, stretching wider, darker, hungrier. The waiting shapes inside finally stirred, restless and patient. And though Earth's fleet was rising, no one knew if even these ancient giants were enough to stop what was coming. Marcus stood before the command console, placing his hand on the ancient controls. The lights turned green, systems humming, recognizing him after all these years. He looked up at the awakening ships and whispered, "Humanity is ready." But in the silence of space, beyond the rift, something laughed. First contact across the rift. The shadow gate had grown so wide that even children could see it with the naked eye. At night it looked like a wound across the stars, a black river cutting through the sky. People gathered on rooftops, pointing in silence, their hearts heavy with fear. Then, for the first time, something stepped through. It began with a flash of blue light, sharp and quick, followed by the slow emergence of a ship unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, constantly shifting as if alive. Long, glowing lines ran across its hull, symbols that pulsed like veins. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Sophia was the first to record it from her observatory. Her trembling fingers adjusted the telescope, her voice caught in her throat. "They're here," she whispered. Across the world, military radars screamed with alerts. Governments scrambled jets into the air, missiles prepared in silos, warships moved to the oceans. But none fired. No one wanted to start a war without knowing what they faced. Captain Marcus stood in the desert hangar, watching the live feed on a giant screen. His old eyes narrowed. He had seen ships before, alien ships, long ago. But this one was different. It moved with caution, not aggression. Almost like it was afraid. Within hours, more ships appeared from the gate. Not an army, not an invasion. Fleet. Only 3 vessels. They positioned themselves above Earth, circling silently, sending signals across every frequency. At first, the signals sounded like noise, a storm of static and broken whispers. But Sophia worked without rest, decoding them piece by piece. Her tired eyes widened as words formed on her screen. "Close the gate. Close it before it is too late." She sent the translation to every contact she had. Some ignored her. Others dismissed it as manipulation. But deep inside, Sophia knew it was real. These aliens weren't trying to conquer Earth. They were trying to warn it. In the Pacific, where the ocean still boiled from the rising of a hidden human warship, one of the alien vessels descended lower. Cameras captured it, hovering just above the waves. For a moment, everything went silent. Then a voice, deep and metallic, echoed across radio waves worldwide. Children of Earth, the gate is not ours. It is theirs. If you do not close it, all will be lost. The world froze. Newscasters stared blankly at their screens. Social media exploded with theories. Some claimed it was a trick, a way to lower defenses. Others believed every word. In Washington, generals demanded action. We should strike them now before more arrive. In Beijing, leaders argued for caution. If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done so already. Across Europe, debates raged. Humanity was united in fear, divided in response. Meanwhile, the hidden fleet continued to awaken. In deserts, oceans, and mountains, colossal ships rose higher, glowing with ancient power. People everywhere stood in awe as Earth's secret giants filled the skies. One night, as the alien ships hovered silently, a daring decision was made. A meeting would take place. Humanity would speak to the strangers. In a hidden base beneath Iceland, far from the chaos of cities, a transmission was sent. Marcus, dressed once again in his black uniform, stood before the console. He was chosen to represent Earth, not the politicians, not the generals, but the one who had trained for this long ago. The alien reply was immediate. A blue beam of light filled the chamber, forming a figure. It was not human, not even close. Its body was tall and thin, with shifting metallic skin that never stayed still, and eyes that glowed like twin suns. Marcus stared at it, his voice calm. You crossed the gate. Why now? Why awaken it? The alien's head tilted, its voice echoing in the minds of everyone present. We did not awaken it. The prison is breaking. The ones inside are older than us, older than you. They consume everything. We ran. You cannot. The room fell silent. Marcus clenched his fists. Then why come here? The alien's glowing eyes dimmed. Because your world holds the only fleet ever built to face them. We thought it was a myth. But we see now, it is true. Everyone turned to Marcus, realizing the weight of his past, the reason he had been called back after so many years. Humanity's forgotten fleet was not just a weapon, it was a key. Outside, the shadow gate pulsed again. A soundless vibration shook the earth. From its depths, a new shadow moved, vast, massive, so large it blotted out the stars behind it. Even the alien ships trembled, pulling back in fear. Sophia watched from the observatory, whispering to herself, "What is that?" Her screen flickered, static rising as though the universe itself didn't want her to see. The alien envoy turned its burning eyes toward Marcus one last time. You must choose, stand with us, or die with the rest. The blue figure vanished, leaving only silence. And in the skies above, Earth's fleet, once forgotten, once buried, lit up brighter than ever before, preparing for the war no one truly understood. Humanity rises. The world had never seen skies like this before, where, once there were stars, now giant silhouettes floated, warships the size of cities, their hulls glowing as if fire burned within their cores. Oceans split open as carriers rose from the deep, water cascading down their steel sides like waterfalls. Deserts cracked apart, revealing launch bays filled with weapons long buried. From Antarctica to the Pacific, the hidden fleet had fully awakened. Billions watched from their homes, from rooftops, from open fields. For centuries, humanity had believed it was fragile, defenseless against the unknown. But tonight, the truth lit up the heavens. Earth had been preparing all along. Captain Marcus stood on the bridge of one of the largest ships, its control room alive with blue light. He placed his hand on the console, and the ancient systems responded, as if recognizing him. Generations ago, he had trained here as a young pilot, never knowing if the day would come. Now the day was here. Fleet status? He asked. A voice echoed through the chamber, soft yet powerful. It wasn't human. It was the ship itself. All systems online, weapons charged, Awaiting orders, Commander. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. He never thought he would hear those words again. Meanwhile, the alien ships hovered near Earth's orbit. They did not attack. They circled, tense, waiting. Humanity's awakening had surprised even them. For the first time in centuries, humans and aliens stared at each other not as predator and prey, but as equals. But peace lasted only minutes. The shadow gate pulsed again. Its darkness swelled, spreading cracks of black lightning across the sky. From its depths, something emerged. A creature, not a ship. Its body was like a mass of shadows, constantly shifting, with countless eyes glowing red across its surface. Its size dwarfed even the largest human warship. Across Earth, people screamed as they saw the beast crawl through the rift. It did not fly like a ship. It drifted, as though space itself bent beneath its form. Each movement made the stars shiver. Sophia watched through her telescope, frozen in horror. "It's not a fleet. It's alive," she whispered. The alien ships moved instantly, firing beams of searing light at the monster. The attacks cut across its body, but the creature only roared, a soundless vibration that made radios crackle and glass shatter in cities below. Then it struck. A single tendril of darkness lashed out, swatting one alien vessel aside like a toy. The ship spun, fire erupting before exploding into fragments. Humanity saw their first alien ally die in seconds. Marcus slammed his fist on the console. "All ships, defensive formation. Target the creature." Across the world, Earth's fleet came alive. Battleships rose higher. Wings of fighters launched, from hidden bays and colossal cannons charged with blinding energy. For the first time in history, the human fleet revealed its strength. Dozens of warships fired at once. Beams of plasma, missiles that streaked like falling stars, and cannons that shook the heavens, all struck the creature. The skies above Earth lit up brighter than the sun. The monster reeled, shrieking, its many eyes flickering. For a moment, hope surged, but then the gate pulsed again. Two more creatures began to push through, larger, hungrier. The alien commander's voice echoed across all frequencies, desperate and sharp. "Close the gate. If it opens fully, nothing will stop them." Marcus gritted his teeth. Closing the gate was never part of his training. No one on Earth even knew how. But he could not show doubt. Humanity needed courage. He looked at his crew, young men and women, soldiers who had never expected to fight. Scientists now turned into warriors. Their eyes waited on him, trusting him completely. Marcus raised his hand. "We fight until we find a way." The fleet roared forward. Fighters swarmed like fireflies, dodging the beast's massive tendrils. Battleships fired in unison, carving through its shadow flesh. Some ships fell, explosions lighting the sky, but the rest pressed on, fearless. On the ground, humanity watched in silence. Fear turned into awe. Awe turned into pride. For the first time, they saw themselves not as weak or small, but as defenders of their world. Sophia transmitted a new message across every channel, her voice breaking. "Humanity is not afraid. This is our sky." The words spread like fire, repeated by millions. Across languages, across continents, the message echoed. Humanity stood together. The alien survivors regrouped, falling into formation beside Earth's fleet. Enemies of the past now flew wing to wing, united against the greater terror. The monster howled, its roar tearing through the clouds. But for the first time, it faced something unexpected. Resistance. Humanity had risen. And though the gate pulsed with more shadows, waiting to emerge, the world knew this was only the beginning. Marcus tightened his grip on the console, his voice calm but fierce. "This is not their world. It's ours. And we will not fall." The fleet surged forward again, fire and steel blazing against the endless night. The war beyond fear, the skies above Earth burned with light. Human warships and alien vessels moved together in desperate harmony, their weapons striking the colossal beast that had emerged from the shadow gate. Yet even as the creature reeled, two more shapes clawed their way through the rift. Their massive, forms blotting out the stars. For every shot fired, the gate pulsed wider. Its darkness stretched, pulling at the very fabric of space. Cities below trembled. Oceans rose in violent waves, and people across the world realized the truth. This was not a battle for Earth. This was a battle for survival itself. On the command deck of the flagship, Marcus stood tall, his weathered face glowing in the light of the consoles. Around him, young crew members fought to keep control of the ship, voices overlapping, alarms blaring, shields down to 60%. Starboard batteries reloading. Enemy approaching vector. 2-7. Marcus raised his voice above the chaos. Hold steady. Aim for the eyes. Make them blind. The ship's cannons roared, firing bolts of plasma into the shadow beast's many eyes. The monster shrieked, its soundless scream vibrating through every bone of every human on the planet. Several ships burst apart in fire, swallowed by tendrils of black energy, but the fleet held its ground. In her observatory, Sophia broadcasted live updates to the world. Her voice shook, but her words carried strength. The fleet is fighting. They are holding the line. Humanity is not broken. We are rising. Millions clung to her every word, their fear slowly changing into hope. Meanwhile, the alien commander's ship flew alongside Marcus's flagship. Its voice cut through the comms. We cannot win this way. The gate must be sealed. Marcus answered, How? Tell me what to do. The alien hesitated. Then came the truth. The fleet you command was built not just for battle. It was built with a key. A core engine powerful enough to collapse the rift. But it will cost you everything. The bridge fell silent. Every crew member turned to Marcus. They all knew what the alien meant. To close the gate, someone had to fly into it, into the darkness, sacrificing their ship to seal the wound in the sky. Marcus's heart pounded. He had lived his whole life waiting for this moment. Yet he thought of the people watching from below, the children, the families, the future of Earth. Could he ask anyone else to make this sacrifice? He looked at his crew, young faces shining with courage. He saw himself in them decades ago when he was the one learning to fly. Now, he was the old soldier, the one who had already lived his life. The decision was clear. Marcus stepped forward, his voice firm. Prepare the core, set course for the gate. Gasps filled the bridge. Commander, you can't. Sir, let one of us. Marcus raised his hand, silencing them. His eyes softened. This is why I was brought back. This is why the fleet remembered me. Humanity doesn't need an old man to survive, it needs a future. That future is you. The ship's AI, the same voice that had guided him since the beginning, spoke softly. Course locked. Core charging. Outside, the battle raged. Fighters swarmed the creatures, alien beams carved into their bodies, and human warships exploded in flashes of fire. The monsters pressed closer, their endless tendrils reaching for Earth. Marcus's ship broke formation, engines burning brighter than all others. The alien commander's voice whispered in his mind, You are not afraid. Marcus smiled faintly. I am human. We don't run from shadows. The flagship roared forward, piercing through swarms of tendrils, climbing higher and higher toward the gate. Behind him, the fleet gave everything it had, clearing a path. Ships exploded. Fighters dove into the beasts, sacrificing themselves to buy time. Humanity and aliens side by side holding the line. On Earth, billions held their breath. Sophia's voice cracked as she cried into the microphone, He's going into the gate. The shadow gate towered above, wider than ever, pulsing with unholy light. From within, an even greater darkness stirred. Something far larger than the monsters already unleashed. A shape so massive it made the other beasts look small. Its first eye opened, glowing red like a sun. Marcus's ship reached the edge of the rift. The core glowed white-hot, the ship trembling from the power building within. On the bridge, he placed his hand on the console one last time. He whispered, not to his crew, not to the aliens, but to Earth itself. We were born for this fight. The ship plunged into the shadow gate. For a moment, There was silence. Then light. Blinding. Endless light erupted from within the rift. The gate screamed, its edges twisting, cracks spreading across its surface. The monsters howled, their forms unraveling as the power of the core detonated. The sky shook, the earth trembled, oceans roared, and then darkness. The gate collapsed, folding in on itself like a dying star. The beasts shattered into nothingness. The sky cleared, leaving only the stars, pure and untouched. On Earth, cheers erupted. People cried, hugged, prayed. Humanity had survived. But in the silence that followed, Sophia's screens flickered. One final signal came through, not from the aliens, not from the monsters. It was Marcus's voice, faint, echoing, from somewhere, beyond. The gate is closed, but the war is not over. They are still out there, waiting. And then the signal died. The screen went black. The war beyond fear had only just begun.